Hey everyone, welcome to another session of live resume reviews. We are streaming to LinkedIn and YouTube. Um, so hopefully we'll see you on both. We are actively monitoring the comments. So on YouTube or LinkedIn, if you have questions, please put them in the comments. I love answering them. This is ultimately why we're here, to help everyone with resume advice. Our goal is to use real life resumes for everyone to learn. So, hey, James, thanks for joining. So please ask any questions you have. There's a lot of sort of myths and hearsay when it comes to resumes. And there's also multiple answers. There's not, sort of binary answers to a lot of these things, because at the end of the day, there's human beings reading resumes on the other side, and it's up to their opinions. So please engage, ask questions, and let us know how we can be helpful. We've got 6 resumes today on a few different. We've got a few different styles and templates. We've got a few different occupations we're going to look at, some product management, some operations, some growth, marketing. So a couple really cool occupations and career paths. And we've got some great resumes and some good stuff to look at. But yeah, with that, we will dive into it. If you're on LinkedIn and this is your first hearing of Teal, follow our page. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. We're actively trying to grow our YouTube so more people can see all this awesome career advice. It's awesome because of other people, not because of, that's not implicitly saying I'm awesome. So with that, let's jump in. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so I usually do this like fancy thing where I sort of switch to a different camera, but not really value adding. So you just get to see I look this way, even though it's on this side. So let's do it. So, okay, first job we're looking at. Let's see. We got a little bit of context. We'll look at a job description, and then we'll look at the resume and see. So inform a little bit of how we're doing things. So, and I'm also like fresh in resume mode. We've got a couple active positions at Teal right now. So I've been reviewing them for, folks that we'd want to hire. So I was recently laid off and I'm actively looking for a job. So that to me says they're not pivoting. They're looking for the same job and the same career path. Let's get a little more context here. I'm looking for a senior leadership role or director role, but I am willing to take a step back to be a part of a company I'm excited to join and am passionate about. Amazing. All right, let's look at the JD. So operations manager, hotels. Let's see what Teal's got to say in the Chrome extension. Okay, so interesting. Salesforce is important. If it shows up 4 times in the JD, that must be a technology they use. These are more like soft skill, vendor management, workflows. Let's go ahead and save the job, and let's look at it in more detail. So this is what I like to do is, obviously there's like the hard skills. Let's take a look at those. And then emphasis words are like where the company's using language. Let's go straight to qualifications. That's like most important, required. So strong communication. Okay, soft skills. Experience with SQL is a plus. This is a very technical position. Strategy, Salesforce administration, hunger, passion, and the Hotel Tonight product is a must. Okay, let's look at some more hard skills here. Salesforce was workflows, attendance, booking, business. Okay, all right. We have some context. We know what we're evaluating against now. Let's go ahead and open up this resume. So I like to do it like this because this is Airtable that I use, but ATS platforms essentially give you a link to a PDF, and the PDF is going to open in the browser. And so I like to do it this way so you get kind of a sense of what someone would be looking at. It might even kind of pop it open like this, half screen. And I always say like that first half of the page or first third of the page is really important because this is essentially what people are doing. And what you want is, here's my mouse right here. You want to get them to do this, right? Right, because the other alternative is to just say, oh, okay, thanks, next, right? Because they have tools to like very quickly swipe through resumes. That's what some of these tools do. All right, so let's dive into it. Okay, so actually, let me look at this title also was Operations Manager Hotels. Okay, so first thing, I log in, I see the resume. Okay, contact Director of Customer Experience. Okay, that if a person's hiring for that position, they know the kind of synonyms of titles. This might be more on the hospitality side than less the operations side. And you can 100% control that. So I might call that Director of Customer Operations, maybe. If you're like really, wanting to stand out for that job. I always say if you're going to customize one thing on your resume, customize the target title. Because that's your ability to, and just like change it to the job title you're applying to. But okay, everything else, let's keep going. Location, great. Email, great. LinkedIn, great. Everything here is perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. I do these a lot, so I feel like I'm a broken record, but we've got a lot of new faces. So just want to make sure I say it when I see it. I like this. This is for me the right way to do a LinkedIn inclusion in your contact info. It's the full profile plus a live link. What I see some people do is just say like LinkedIn and it's a live link. And if for some reason the link breaks, then the person reading the resume can't get to your LinkedIn profile. So everything here on the contact information is perfect. The only thing that's missing is a phone number. I feel like these days, less you're going to get a random phone call. So I don't think it's a big deal. If you want to include it, great. But city, state, email, LinkedIn, I think it's perfect. And a target title. All right, professional summary. Again, they're not calling it out as professional summary, which I like. It's just like, this is who I am. This is the blurb. Quick, 4 lines. I love it. Results-driven customer service project manager with 20 years of experience, adaptable and responsive, data-driven. Okay, so this is awesome. The only thing I would like to see here that I think this is missing is some metrics around the career in aggregate, right? Even the 20 years of experience, I love that. Now I don't need to go to your resume and like compute it. I think it's great. Give me something about career in aggregate, something that empirically shows you have this experience. And then I think some of these things people tend not to really be impressed by. Self-motivated and attentive to details. Like some of those are kind of, expected. It's table stakes. You almost don't need to call it out. So I would replace this last line with some sort of aggregate empirical statement about your career. And so I'll maybe have some ideas after I look at the work experience. Professional skills. Okay. Look, I often don't, this is fine. I don't think it's a deal breaker. I don't like when there's both of these. I feel like pick one or the other. I personally, I don't like these check boxes either. These sort of empty check boxes aesthetically. It's just like more visual complexity. But I think it's fine. Yeah, I would try to merge these two, either go with the bullets or go with the paragraph, and then just make sure that they're both doing the same thing. I would maybe incorporate some of these keywords into this paragraph, but don't let it be more than 5 lines max. Because ultimately you want to see this stuff in the body of the work. But again, I don't think it's a big deal. This also feels kind of long if I were to do this, like take it down to 6 or 8. You've got 12 here. All right, now experience. Let's see here. Okay, Adecco, remote, California-based, director of customer support. Okay, awesome. Sometimes people do this when they're a little anxious about the time period. I think it's okay. I don't think it's a nice technique. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, one thing to look out for on your resume is, are you repeating anything? Engineers have this great concept called DRY, D-R-Y, do not repeat yourself. Experience, Adecco. Like, well, I don't need to see the company name twice. This heading is actually confusing me a little bit. Overall, I think this is a really great resume. My job here is to be incredibly nitpicky to learn stuff. So again, I always just like to caveat that, because if the person's on here listening, I think this is overall a great resume. Okay, now let's look at the bullets. Improve first response and close time, achieving a month-over-month best of 30-minute improvement in first response and 10-hour improvement in close time. Improve satisfaction score resulting in 1 to 2 point increase month-over-month and best 6 point increase. develop led cross. Okay, so here, this is the best bullet here, and it's the third line. Put your best bullet first, right? People read in sequential order, best bullet first. It's not just saying, hey, don't assume they're gonna read all of them. Assume they're gonna read the first one, and the first one's job is to get someone to read the second one, to read the third one. This is the most impactful, right? 2.7 million in improvement. That's amazing. Some of these, I get it. The metrics are there. So A+ for the metrics. Linguistically, they're a little tricky to read. I think there may be a way where you can tell this story a little better. 1 to 2 points per month over X amount of time is going to be more in a compounding. So you might be able to say over the course of 6 months, I increased it by 30%, which might be more impressive. Yeah, these are great. Some of these, I would look for key terms like transition CRM system. So here's a perfect example. That job description said Salesforce. If this person's experience was with Salesforce, call it out instead of using the generic term CRM system. If not, then CRM system is fine. But try to get those, wins where you can. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Great company. I don't know why the location's getting so much prominence. I would potentially move this to this line with the date range. Just like company role, company role, company role. Unless the location's really important, I would get that out of this like really important primary heading. Okay, great. I'm not going to go bullet by bullet because it's less of like a review of the individual resume. I want people to be able to read. But some of these things, like what's the impact, effectively transition and align territory on coffee, dairy, and tap standards. Like that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, why'd you do that? And right, was this to save money? Was this to increase NPS? You can't just assume that the person reading the information is going to be able to understand the value and impact of why you did it. Like that. So that context is missing. So I would be mindful of that. Let's see this. Okay, this resume is 2 pages. Here's a choice that someone can make on their resume as well, like how to group and sort your resume. This is a concept that best shown sort of in illustration. So you can group your jobs. This is a Teal resume builder. It's free. Everything I'm about to show you can do for free. It's just the fastest way to illustrate this idea. So group work experience by position. When you do that, what ends up happening is you repeat the company because you're doing it by position. So my preference, I don't think it matters, but is to do a company and then show the positions under. So what that means here is, right, like WeWork is repeated. And I'll tell you why why I don't like it is if the person reading is just kind of like quickly looking at blocks and headlines and it's like, sure, WeWork, they might assume that this was 1 year, less than 1 year tenures at different companies. Again, you can't assume like what it's written. It's so clear. Same company 2 times, actually 3 times, 4 times. You can't assume that, right? Assume like worse than 10 here. And it's also just a waste of space, to be honest. In this case, you'd still have the title. But that's my preference. That's like a 6 one way, half dozen the other. People probably disagree with me on that. I've actually asked people in the past and they have disagreed with me. So that's just my preference. It shows like progression in one company. I also like to show tenure at the company level. So what I mean by that is here, see, it shows my whole time at WeWork where I could do work experience date range by position. And so now it's doing it, and some people have even said do both. I disagree with this. Again, I don't think it's like a make or break. I will tell you this, in some of the testing that I've done for ATSs to parse your work experience, they prefer it by position. I would still optimize for a human, not an ATS. So that's my preference, but it does help with parsing because it seems like the parsers use the dates to identify times at a company. I'm not going to go into each of these. Again, I think the general advice on the achievements is the same. Okay, these are all the various. Again, this person's in hotels, so I think this is a good thing. It feels a little sort of, it's on the same like line hierarchy. Maybe you want to be indented, but I don't think that really matters. Education's great. Like, I think overall this resume is good. I think these are all like little optimizations the person could do. I would look at some of the keywords in the JDs. If you don't want to make a resume per JD, go look at like 10 and see if there's patterns that repeat and make sure that stuff's in here. Overall, I would like to see like more hard skill mention maybe. But anyways, that's that one. But thank you for submitting it. Okay, let's see if I'm catching any questions. Sometimes I get them slacked to me in case I missed them. Yep, here we go. Okay. Held 3 different roles, promoted 2x in 18 months. I received advice that I should collapse it into just one title instead of listing all 3. So, okay. So, look, titles are really, really, really important on resumes. I think it's where people make the automatic associations. You inherit a lot of sort of credibility from the title. So I like listing titles, and that's what people are skimming for. I often will say companies want to hire you for what you did, not what you want to do. So especially if you have held the title in the past that you're applying for, or it looks like the progression, I like it. If your resume is starting to be too long, then maybe you can sort of put them all on one line with commas. But I am a fan of listing the titles because I think they mean a lot. What are my thoughts on functional resume? Unless you absolutely have to do it, don't do it. I just think convention is your friend. Norms are your friend. Talk to any recruiter. They're going to tell you, like, they just want the content. They want the content in a format that they're used to looking at. Don't make them think hard. You're not going to get extra points for it looking great. Maybe if you're applying for a design position. What happens when you break convention is the mindset goes to, why are they breaking convention? Like, what is it about them that's different that can't be done? Like, this isn't a place to be different. Your resume, like, how you differentiate yourself is with your content, not with the container, right? You want like what's inside, not the box. So don't spend your time rethinking the box. Just focus on what's inside the box. Your experience. That's generally what I consistently get repeated to me from recruiters. Amy Miller just had a post on it, I think today. If you don't follow Amy Miller on LinkedIn, you should. She's brilliant and hilarious. But she just said, like, I've never, ever hired someone for like the type of resume. It's always the content. So it's not going to break it either, but I just say, don't do it. Would you expand with some bullets on the last items listed? Sorry, I already moved on to the next one, so maybe I can catch that on the next one. I just want to make sure I'm trying to get through all 6, and I'm already 20 minutes in. So, alrighty, this is for an accounting finance manager. Getting stuck in editing resume and LinkedIn. How many jobs to apply to per week? Any target? Just overwhelmed. The job search is overwhelming. Totally understandable. Okay, so since they didn't give me a job, so let's just do finance manager. We'll use Google for this one because it usually gives me good stuff. Here at Visa, it's probably fleshed out. Yeah, here we go. Let's see what's Teal got to say. So forecasting, budgeting, finance. Let's go ahead and look at the job. Let's do hard skills and emphasis words. Okay, so this JD got mangled. Let me fix it real quick. I picked a bad one. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, I saw a bunch of, okay, here we go. At least 5 years. Economics, finance, accounting, forecasting, budgeting. Okay. Let's look at the resume. Okay. So this one in particular, I remember had some sort of thing here. There was like a mention to. I think I left it below Robert Half, which I think is a recruiting. So I don't know if like a recruiter made this resume and they're out shopping it around. That might be why that's there, but generally I wouldn't include that. You don't need your zip code. I'd sort of leave enough information to give me reminders of what I wanted to comment on. And there's no LinkedIn. I think if you're applying for a professional position, what I would mean by that is like, not a factory job or, more of an office job. You're expected to have LinkedIn, and it might be overwhelming to create a LinkedIn, but it's really simple. Just you need a bare minimum. You don't have to go crazy. Uh, I just saw you. I don't think it's a big deal, Isaac. I just don't think you need to. I'm always like trying to conserve space and like just have people think less. You can. I don't think it's a big deal. I just think less is more. Do I have to put it? I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal at all. To include it if you want or not. But I just, again, like what's the bare minimum is sort of generally, at least in stuff like this. And titles, I like titles. Sort of accreditations, I think are great. So CPA. Okay, so quick glance. All right, two summaries, right? Like one summary is separated with these bullets, or sort of the dots, and then the other one is a bulleted list. I think you find yourself like repeating yourself. It's redundant. They can contradict each other. They should essentially do the same thing. So this just feels like a very long summary. It feels like a redundant summary. Pick one or the other. If you want to go with the sort of highlighting of skills, go for it. If you want to go with the bulleted version, go for it. Just make sure you address some of the things that you want to make sure the person's aware of quickly. Detail oriented, I don't think that's necessary. 10 years of experience in various industries, list them out. Things like various industries, you're missing an opportunity to add keywords and richness. And so that's just going to assume nothing. Like you're getting zero value from those letters on the page. Various industries. Okay. Like, tell me the industries that's keyword rich stuff. And if I would have read the next line, I would have seen it. Insurance, tech startup, stuff like that. So this is great. So forget everything I just said. Expert skill set in achieving operational objectives. Okay, excellent track record of delivering. So what I want to see here is like, show it to me empirically, right? Like some sort of self-evaluation of like excellent and expert. It's like, of course you're going to say that about yourself. Track record of delivering exceptional services to clients, focusing on relationships, mutual respect, and quality and compliance, resulting in, the companies I have been at, increased revenue, drove over the course of my career, saved through accounting practices, $10 million in procurement. Give me a metric that shows that you did that. Strong knowledge of, so this feels to me like super redundant with this part, right? It's like core strengths and skills, strong knowledge of. I would just get rid of this whole section or move it to the bottom and just call it skills. I think like its proximity to this, right? We're 2/3 of the way down on the first page and I haven't even gotten to the work experience yet. All right, looking there. Let's see here now. Company first, location, title, date range, great. Okay. Sorry, so this is a big block of achievements here. And what I'm looking for here is, again, is the best one first. So let's see. Let me know. Like, I would love to see what you guys think in the comments. Look at the stuff on the screen and which achievement do you think is the best out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 achievements? Which is the best achievement? Right. And then you want to go through that same process with your resumes. Which one would you put first? Or if you could only put one, which one would you put? That should be the first one. All right. I'm going to skim them real quick and then I'll have my vote on that. Okay, any thoughts? Anyone want to put in the comments which achievement they think is best? I'm gonna give it a second. Oh, right, this has a delay. I'm like looking at my chat. I forget that the live streams have a delay. All right, well, I think if I had to vote, this one is really good and this one is really good. Right, this one might be a little more a little too granular as the first achievement or specific, but I think there's a way to maybe broaden it. But given the content I have here, I would probably put this one. Right, 50 cost centers and 50 projects. You could maybe talk a little bit about the impact, but just like monitor key performance indicators, it just doesn't tell me much. Like, it doesn't really hook me and compel me to keep reading. I'm seeing the comments come in now, so I agree. Again, there's like the delay on the stream. So I did mention this before. If you're having any issues with the LinkedIn stream, the YouTube stream has been really good. So I know I saw Leah put the link in the comments, so check it out there if you need to. Same exact content, just streamed to a different platform. All right, so I'm not going to do too deep of a dive. This is another thing I don't love when bullets have to span 2 pages. It's already got 8 over here. 11 bullets on the first job is just too much. I would try not to go above 8. Feels like a lot. 5 feels good. All right, structure's good. Again, I think like there's a focus on quality, not quantity here that needs to happen. Yeah, and this resume is 3 pages. That's just kind of long for. I understand that you kind of want to speak to the things that you've achieved, but this job should maybe have 1 or 2 bullets. It's not going to have that much of an impact on getting hired now. It was in 2006, so 1 to 2 bullets. This job was, it was meaningful. You were there for a while. And here's an example of like company level, role level, that putting both. I think it could be less. I think this resume could absolutely be 2 pages, and it's less about page count. Just think about attention span. How much attention do I have from a person? You're asking a lot to get them to read all 3 pages. So 2 pages, just give yourself that, again, it's an arbitrary thing, but think about how much attention you have. 3 just feels like a lot. To get here. And then there's some things here that can be trimmed up. Format wise, I think it's fine. The text is feeling very monolithic to me. So you can do like one thing we do in the Teal resume builder, which you can do in Google Docs. I'm happy to show you how to do it. But, we tighten the space in the text of the bullet, and then the spacing between the bullets is a little bigger. So if you're building this in Google, let me just get myself some lorem ipsum here. If I turn this into bullets. Right, by default, it just feels like a big solid line of text. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can get this. And so you want to think about how people read, right? The whole point of putting bullets is to make it a little more digestible for people. So let's go ahead and highlight this. Let's go to our line spacing here, and let's go to custom spacing, and we'll do our line spacing. We'll make it 1, and then after, let's do like, I don't know, we'll just do 10 so it's a little more pronounced. And see, that makes it like so much easier to read each bullet. Maybe 10 is too much, but the whole point of bullets is that you're kind of chunking information to make it easier to read. So it's little and it's subtle, but it again kind of makes it easier for the reader. So think about how you would do that, and again, compare that to this. It's just like monolithic, hard to read. Sometimes copying and pasting from a Google Doc actually works. So from a PDF, let's see. Yeah, it didn't do it great. But you get the idea. All right, so that's it on that one. Let me check my questions. Okay, cool. No new ones from Leah yet. All right, how am I doing on time? Not too bad. Did that one in 10 minutes. Okay, I'm looking for a new occupation. That usually means in the same category. I'm looking to pivot from human resources to project management after being laid off. Okay, let's look at this job. It's no longer there. Okay. Let's see. Associate project manager. I'm looking in the URL. That's how I got that. I don't need this. I don't need this. I hope this has some sort of spelling assistance because I'm a terrible speller. Okay, here we go. We'll use that. So associate project manager. All right, this one doesn't work. We don't work with this platform by default, but that doesn't mean you can't use Teal to look at the job. So we'll just make a new job. We'll put it in. Actually, I take that back. Even easier. So right here, if you pin the Teal Chrome extension, you can bring it up. So you can just paste this by hand. So let's do that. Let's do, the company is JLL, I believe. I don't need any of that right now. So that's plenty. We'll paste that there. Save job. All right. So here we go. Okay. Investment management, construction management. And some of these things that are in sections that are keywords, you could just go in and delete it in the body if you want. Professional services, client relationship. Okay. Let's look at this resume. Okay, so contact info, super clean and simple. Doesn't have a location. So if you're not applying, if you're applying to exclusively remote positions, then that's probably fine. But I do think people kind of look for a location. Again, not a deal breaker, but it just feels like to intentionally leave it off is a thing. Everything else was perfect. Yeah. LinkedIn, if you want to make it a live link, you can. I don't think it's a deal breaker. Someone can easily copy paste this. I like the number, the phone number, email, super simple. All right. I like the target title. I love that. I love a target title. I just think right there it projects. Now, one thing, if you're gonna use a target title, have it make sense. You know, we had some people apply to jobs at Teal recently where they just are sending the same resume over and over again. And this was a social media manager position, and I believe it said something like, some kind of planner. I forget what it was. But and it wasn't a media planner, a marketing planner. It was like in finance or something. So if you're gonna use it, make it match. If it doesn't, take it off because it's the first thing I'm gonna look at. It's like, wait a second, this person is like not even in like they're self-identifying as this occupation, which has nothing to do with what we're applying for. So it's like out. I honestly didn't even read the rest of the resume. They talk about the 7 seconds. It didn't even make it past half a second. I was just like, done. So, and that's where like that person could have written attention to detail. It's like nullified, right? It's like this how could you have attention to detail when the resume you're submitting doesn't even match like the job? So, the actions speak louder than the words. So now let's dive into it. Okay, associate project manager. Also, this person's pivoting. So I think a target title is great when pivoting because you may not have that title in your resume down below. So associate project manager with experience developing and project management, proven track record of managing multiple projects. Okay. This is a great. I don't know if you need this, open to relocation. But this is a great professional summary for a pivoter, right? Like leveraging my background. I think it's really, really good. Would love to maybe try to get some sort of metric in there around like teams managed, number of projects as an HR manager. But overall, I think that's great. Core competencies, project management. Okay, visually, like I just don't like that it's asymmetric, but not a big deal. Again, this is like the same thing of like summary and summary. Maybe can you get some of these in here? Um, not the end of the world. All right, professional experience. Generally, I recommend do months and years. It's, again, kind of one of those things where someone can raise an eyebrow and be like, why are you not? Okay, company. All right, so this is a pattern I see that I don't like. Either go with like a narrative paragraph format or do bullets. What I would say, sometimes this is helpful if it's an unknown company. If this was to explain what Instamed was, right? Because it may be a brand no one's ever heard of. And so you want to give a little descriptive of it was one of the fastest growing health tech companies that no one's ever heard of. That could be helpful, but utilize high level of communication. That could be a bullet. And so I think pick one or the other. In this case, given that bullets are the kind of primary format, I think what's happening here is like a more like descriptive narrative one is like in the paragraph, and then like the bullets are more like achievement with numbers. Again, I would just make it all the same. 200 employee submissions. 100. All right, let's try this again. Which is of these three, which is the best bullet? Put it in the comments. Okay, so this person's applying for project management, and the third bullet here says led project status meetings at various levels. This feels like the most project management task of all the ones. So, yep, agreed, Maddie. The last one. So I would rearrange these. Put the best one first. They're great. I would incorporate this into here. Maybe there's a bullet here that makes a better opening, but I would rearrange these bullets. Otherwise, they're great. Okay, so here, this brings the point. Like in my mind, if I'm skimming this super fast, this is a whole separate job. And I'm like, oh, okay, they were at this place for this amount of time. Because it's broken out. Like it's just, we do very fast pattern recognition when we're looking at resumes. I just think like it should be clearer visually that these are roles at one company. JP Morgan Chase, which is an awesome brand, like an established big company. So that's my opinion there. Again, months. Yeah, so same feedback. I'm not going to repeat that. Additional relevant experience, education, super clean and simple. Right, what I'm reading, this person's pivoting and they're worried about their age. If I was like a recruiter, like they don't have education, they don't have dates on education, they've left months off of the years. There's just something about time. Ageism's real. I don't want to in any way trivialize that, but and as a pivoter, and you're trying to move down, someone might say you're overqualified. So I can understand how those concerns would be there. But some of those things I think oftentimes they do more harm than good. So, all right, that's my thoughts on this one. Overall, I think it's a great resume, really good content. I think as a pivoter, it's a really fantastic resume. Does a really good job of building the bridge from previous HR to project manager. And some, good keywords and good richness in there. So, great job. Let me make sure. Okay, cool. Got a question here. All right, since so many people are now looking for work, how can you tailor a resume for a career switch? Most likely the new career title wouldn't be in that person's experience. I've been told recruiters would just toss it without the title. So look, there's no silver bullet for this. There's no magic process. At the end of the day, you need to work harder, right? What's the easiest, least risky thing for a company to do? To hire somebody who's done the job before, especially in a time when you don't have extra money, you don't have like the financial resources to take big risks, right? When companies, and you have way less headcount, right? When companies have a lot of headcount, they can take risks. When they have 4 or 5 open, like if we were scaling like crazy right now, we were hiring 5 social media managers, we wouldn't have the same kind of pressure to get it perfect on this one hire, right? So you can take risks, and it's about like, hey, this person might be incredible. It's like not obvious, but we have a little bit of like ability to take risks because we could have 4 people. When you only have 1 and you're really constrained on headcount and hiring, you really need to go the extra mile to prove why you're the right person. That doesn't mean it's impossible, but I want to be honest about like the market we're entering and the role you need to take as a salesperson when job searching, right? Okay. It's your job to market yourself and make it obvious for the buyer, the employer. Well, buyer and seller can flip. If you're being recruited, I actually think you're the buyer. But anyways, if you're applying, you're in the sort of seller posture and you need to make it a compelling sell. So I would look at the job descriptions. Job descriptions are your best friend. You can't, and I understand time is limited. This is like super strenuous and time consuming. I get it. That's why we're building a company to help people save time. But try to do that. Use tools, right? So here's the Teal resume builder. We've got a very particular tool here that will, look at the keywords in the JD. Right here, you can put that side by side as you write your achievements and address. You could do that thing that I was doing by looking at the hard skills and the emphasis words and saying, okay, let me write an achievement that uses those particular words, even if it's just duplicating an achievement and changing a few words. And then you can use keyword matching and see like which keywords you're including. Those things help down to the word level, make a big difference. Right? You make it that much more accessible to the person reading, and they don't need to do that. They don't need to build those bridges for you. Build the bridges for them. That's what I would say as a pivoter. That's really important that you do. There's other tools like this. This is built in. This is a Teal Plus feature. The keyword matching, you get like the top 5 keywords, but there's Job Scan that's really good. I think you get 1 full free scan, and then if you don't upgrade in a week, you'll probably get 5 more in your inbox. There's another platform called Resume Worded. Austin Belchek, I want to make sure I pronounce his name correctly. He's got Resi Match, which I think is free as well. So there's a bunch of really cool tools out there that do this, and take advantage of those. That's gonna save you time. Okie dokie. Let's look at this one. How are we doing on time? 15 minutes. I will get through these. All right. So I'm trying to move up in my current industry. Here's a job. Senior Director, Growth Marketing. Okay, cool. Let's see what Teal's got to say. Marketing, budget, acquisition, paid, strategy. All right, those seem important. I'm not going to go all the way because let's look at this resume. Okay. So real quick initial impressions is this may not come off as like what is like considered SEO friendly, but that's absolutely fine. This resume is like crisp, concise, easy for me to read. I know where I'm going. I think it's very effective in that sense. All right, so if I was looking for that, like Senior Director of Marketing, Senior Director of Growth Marketing, like, okay, I got it. This person. Summary: growth marketing leader with 10 years of experience in 5+ leading teams. I specialize in growing startups, scale-ups. All right, like maybe throw in some money. What's the total number of leads you've accomplished? How much traffic have you grown platforms in aggregate over your career? But I think it's a great opening. Like, I'd keep reading. All right, skills. Look, I tend to like to hire with skills and just like the technology that people know. So this can be handy. It's again kind of duplicative. This could be at the bottom, and I think it would be fine, a more senior position. But if you're kind of applying for player coach positions, this is good. But I get it, right? Like, look, I happen to be hiring for this exact position right now, so I've got like a very specific lens on this. I want a person who knows SEO. So when I see SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz, okay, cool, got it. Yep. All right, they can do GA and Tableau. Great. Okay. All right, this person's got the skills I need at a high level, but now I want to see where you used it, because anyone can just list out skills or a bunch of software. I'm going to go to the companies. All right, The Skim, great publication. Fascination, PepsiCo, great brands. Okay. Apple, All right, let me look at these titles. Director of Acquisition Marketing, Director of Growth Marketing. And this is how people generally read resumes. I wanted to talk about this earlier, is I'm doing them in kind of like vertical order. But the truth is that's not how resumes are read. Resumes are read more like this. They're like, okay, cool. I'm zooming out, even though the people probably do it zoomed in. All right, title, great, skim. Companies first, okay, interesting. Titles, interesting. Now I go to the bullets. So these titles, senior director, okay, awesome. These are all titles that are the past titles I would have wanted to see on the person I'm looking to hire. Now let's look at the bullets. Drove email subscriber page views and podcast downloads for leading millennial women media brand. By how much? I'd like to see how many email subscribers. And this growth marketing is very analytical. You say you're analytical. Show me those numbers. Led 4 direct reports on a 10-person growth team managing multi-million-dollar. Just give me the number instead of multi-million-dollar. $10 million, $5 million, $3 million. Also because numbers just stand out better. And again, analytical, attention to detail. Like I want to see precision. Stood up campaign planning and performance creative testing. 500,000 new emails. That's amazing. That's super impressive. This is the most impressive bullet. Make that one first. Or add some, they're kind of drove email subscribers, 500,000, put it here. Director of Growth Marketing stood up. Yeah, these are great. I'm not going to read through all these. This is really good, right? And this is a person who's been working since 2006. We saw a resume with someone who had also been working since 2006. And that was 3 pages. This is 1 page. This is very well curated, very tight. And some of this, like in terms of ATS friendliness, I'm going to run this resume through a parser after. I can't do it live because it would reveal people's personal information. I want to add a template like this to the Teal resume builder, but I have worries about it being just doesn't parse and doesn't structure the data. So stay tuned for a video on that. So my hunch is it's not going to be very ATS friendly. I hope I'm wrong. But overall, I think this resume is fantastic, especially applying to startups that don't even use ATSs. It's probably fine. Again, don't optimize for the ATS, optimize for a human reading it. I think this is a really, really good resume. All right. Another thing, it's got a great combination of like what I would call like skills and tools, right? So I can say I do SEO, but I can also say I know Ahrefs. Those are good. Like, in roles like this that are fairly technical, talk about the keywords in both forms. I know data analytics, but I also know Tableau and Google Data Studio, right? Because just do both. It's a nice way to sort of really emphasize a point without literally duplicating the words. All right. All right. I'm looking for a new position. All right. Let's look at this job. Sure. Okay. Digital product manager. Let's just go straight to the requirements. Significant experience with Excel and PowerPoint. It's amazing that they put that as number 1, but okay. Also, previous experience with Python or data science is a plus. Experience with Salesforce is a plus. Okay. Pretty technical job here. Digital product manager. It's interesting that the requirements go like straight to like technical stuff. Okay. Let's look at this resume. So 2-column, one of the things, name, contact info over here, kind of like making me work. Like some of those things feel a little, unnecessary. It's on 1 page. All right, so let's do let's read this one in the way I would typically read it. Okay, I see. Okay, great. All right, whatever. The contact info, got it. It's all there. It's good. Let me see what companies they worked at. So Diffusion Finance, I guess that's the company. Nova, Piper Sandler, State Street. Okay. Now I'm like, all right, State Street, they're only there a few months. Okay, now leadership experience. I'm seeing like a different section. I guess this is like volunteering and stuff. I'm not going to give that like too much credit. And then education, great. Okay, cool. And then here's some stuff. All right, now I would dive into the content. I'm compelled. And if I'm looking for product manager, this is product marketing manager, co-founder, fixed income analyst. Like nothing here right now is at a high level telling me like, yeah, I would move this resume forward for a product manager position. But let's dive in. Let's assume they did want to go. Okay, so manage a cross-functional team of 10 members responsible for establishing new sales processes. Okay, 6 million in digital assets. That's amazing. All right, like that JD was very analytical and very technical. So I would want to right here give me something like what tools, what systems. Again, because that JD seemed to really care about that. But the impact is great. I like the impact. Constructed initial roadmap. See, like here you could throw in things like used Excel too. Again, it feels cheesy, but they put it as the first requirement. So it makes me think I might want to do that. If I was tailoring it to that particular job, if you're seeing, enough jobs that are for product manager and they're not so specific, then it's probably fine. I would definitely add like Excel. I know you put Microsoft Suite, but I would put it here. Okay, so like here's again an example. This is the best achievement out of all of these. So like for every job, look at your batch of bullets and say, if I could only keep one, which one would it be? And then put that one first. All right, assume they're going to read one. So put that best one first. All right, we won't keep reading here. Okay, another couple of things that we haven't seen here, like interest. I think that's cool. It's not, certificates. I think that's fine. I don't know if you need to break out your skills into the subsections, but I think it's fine. This probably wouldn't be very ATS friendly if I had to guess. But overall, I think it's a good resume. It's on one page, font's a good size, legible. I don't love like the contact information and name. Honestly, you don't even need some of the contact. That's obviously contact, but I think overall it's fine. It just doesn't. It feels like this resume is asking me to do a lot to think about like how this person would be a product manager or let me double check what they put. Yeah. And so like when the reader is needing to give you the benefit of the doubt and build the bridges for you, it's just very, very low likelihood they're going to do that. So that just didn't read like a product manager resume to me. I read more of like a financial analyst, entrepreneur. And so I would want to see more of a case for why you should be hired as a product manager. Okie dokie. Let me see. We got a question here. Okay, no, I answered that one already. Okay, we'll keep going here. All right, I'm trying to move up in my current industry. Awesome. Current VP of DEI seeking to pivot into Chief Programs Officer. Let's look at a JD. Chief Diversity Officer. Look at 10 years in human service, HR, DEI. Okay, great. Okay, cool. Let's look at the resume. Okay. So visually, this stands out as different. And not entirely sure that's a good thing, but right off the bat, DEI and inclusion expert. All right, cool. I'm sold. Like, I'm going to keep scrolling. This person does what I'm looking for. All right, this professional summary is an A+. Achieved grants. This person knows what they're doing. All right, that's excellent. All right, and so now I'm just like looking at the companies. Do I know these organizations? Okay, public schools. A lot of them sort of like are in the sort of nonprofit philanthropic space, which is perfect. All right, so titles are great. All right, now it's like, so now there's some stuff that I more just like more broadly, like my time, these like infographics, I don't think are great. I mean, this one already tells me like off that like you were at equal places in all parts of your career. These things just like, I don't know, I think they require interpretation and do more harm than good. So honestly, I would get rid of stuff like this and just incorporate it into the the jobs. So also now you're seeing a like monolithic text. I'm not seeing hierarchy. So the same thing I was showing in Google Docs where you could change the spacing between bullets and lines. I think this would benefit from that because it just reads, it lacks hierarchy. There's some stuff in there, but it's like hard for me to read it. I see some numbers. These are great achievements. Really, really good. This template's just doing a lot of things visually I don't think it needs to do. And if I had to guess, again, don't do anything for the ATS. It just can't hurt. But I like it as a good like litmus test for simplicity. So like these little icons, it's just like a whole bunch of visual complexity that's distracting me from the content. And the content on this resume is really, really good. You know, even here, like this little line, wait, but these are both at the same company. So like, what does that mean? I just think it's trying too hard visually because the content is really, really good. So I just don't think it's necessary to do so much visually. Yeah, like these icons and graphics and, you know, I would take out this project section because I don't think you need it. It's a very good resume from a content perspective. I just think the template is actually hurting this resume. Content-wise, I think this is a fantastic resume. Speaks to a lot of the things given the job that was sent over. I would just really simplify this to just like an easier template to read. All right, let's like count the visual elements. So I've got like a bolded blue. I've got icons. I've got bolded body copy. I've got all caps headlines. I've got a regular body copy. I've got a large normal font in a dark blue. Now I've got icons. I've got a smaller body copy with a thinner weight. I've got visual elements with a key that I need to map and make a connection to. You've got like 10 or 12 like different visual languages that are happening. And you know, you've got these like underlined bolded things. Got these icons, probably even more, like 15. I just think that's like too much. Like keep it to 3. Like 3 visual things. Like you've got to do more emphasis than that. I think it's just putting too much on the reader. Again, the content's incredible. So I actually think it's distracting and taking away from the content. All right. So there we go. We got to about 5 o'clock on the dot. I'm happy to answer any other questions that come up. Hopefully you found that helpful. Again, if you like this, please like it or subscribe on YouTube and also follow us on LinkedIn. You can follow me also. I'm David Fano on LinkedIn. And we try to do these every week. We'll probably take next week off given that it's Thanksgiving in the States. But we're trying to do these every week. We've gotten through about 6 each time, so we're squeezing them in. The first ones take a little longer also because, you know, we're covering concepts that kind of apply to all the others. So we always spend a little bit more time on the first few. But we'll put the link in the comments on how to submit. Also, if you subscribe to our newsletter, or if you're signed up for Teal, you're automatically subscribed to our newsletter. And we will announce when we're doing these. We have another event tomorrow on networking, which is in partnership with Venture Miami and a career fair that's happening in Miami the week after Thanksgiving. So check that out. And yeah, also check out Teal. If you're job searching, we've got a resume builder that's free. We've got a job tracker that's free. We've got a whole bunch of tools that help with your job search. That is what we are built for. Our customer is you. We help candidates. We do not serve companies. So whatever we can do to make the job search better and empower you to land that job you love, please let us know. It is absolutely what we're here for. It's what all of us jump out of bed for every morning because we're excited to crack this problem. So again, thank you so much. Hope to see you soon. Hope to see you on the next one. And if you have any questions or other things you'd like to see us cover in the future, please let us know. Let us know in the comments, email us, however, messenger pigeon, whatever works. We're open to all forms of feedback. All right. Best of luck, and we'll see you soon. And happy Thanksgiving to any of those that don't join a session between now and next week. See you later.